Use what you have. Don't wait for what you don't have. Because most people are in the situation of waiting. I'm waiting to get married, kids, wife, a husband, so I can be happy, so I can live the dream. But do you work towards those expectations? Do you work hard to achieve those? Because practice make it perfect. You know, before we actually live the life that we dreamed of, we have to practice. That's the reason why it's written in the Bible, we have to live preparing before Jesus Christ come back. So it's us living now. It's us practicing now before we live the life that we're expecting to live. Because most people will say, I'm waiting to finish school so I can get a job, so I can start saving. What about now? Don't you think if you start learning to save now, it will be easier for you when you actually have that job? Don't you think if you start practicing things now before you actually getting married, it will be easier for you when you're actually in that marriage? You know, most people will get embarrassed of the job that they're doing for some reasons, which is totally foolish to me. Why? Because people will appreciate you no matter what. Good friends, your family will appreciate you no matter what. But people who are not your friends will always abandon you or reject you for whatever you do because they're not your friends. But people who appreciate the little that you present, those are your friends. Because from there, they will advise you. They'll give you some advice like, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? To lift you up. But people who reject you because of who you are, they're not your friends. They're not your family. So what I'm trying to say is that you have to start saving with the little that you have. Don't wait for what you don't have. You're complaining about not having a job, not finding a job. Make a job. Make a job. Even those people who are sitting in the office, they had to start it somewhere. Why don't you start somewhere? You know, we are living in the era where we follow people's steps. We follow instead of us leading. You can also make your way out of nowhere. Because I remember when Moses was leading the Israel out of Egypt, he was somehow didn't have any clue where to go when they reached to that ending. And he asked God, like, God, what do I do from here? Where do I go? Where do we go? You're in that situation. It's a good thing that he asked. Some people don't ask. So then God told him, what do you have in your hands? And Moses had a stick in his hand, a piece of stick in his hand. And then God told him, use what you have. Use that. You know, so what do you have? You have so much in you. You have so much in you. Do you ask? Do you ask? You know, most of the times we want to do things according to our understanding, which is totally fine. You got a brain, you have to use it. But on the same time, a brain without guidance, you're going to get lost. You're going to end up being confused, complaining that you don't succeed. Remember, you have the brain. But what about who created that brain? Who gifted you with that brain? He's the one who knows how that brain functions. So ask him. He's the one who put the abilities, responsibilities, and qualities within you. So ask him. Ask God. Where do I go from here? Shalom, shalom. Thank you so very much for listening. This is helping me, and I hope it's helping you. Because whenever I speak, I feel like I'm speaking to myself.